Your freedom, your freedom, and the freedom that you've been looking for all lies in your story. We hear a lot of people talk about telling your story and why it's important to tell your story and how you can change other people's lives and how people need to hear your story so that they can get your learnings and your lessons and that they can live a better life. But the truth is, before you can truly impact anybody else, you have to impact yourself first. I'm going to say that again. Before you can change anybody's lives or impact anybody else's life, you have to first change yours. And that comes with owning your story. Not just telling your story, but owning your story. The good, the bad, and the ugly. A lot of times we have experiences and we go through things and we kind of push them off to the side. We think we put them either compartmentalized or we put them over here and we're like, I'll deal with that emotion later. I'll deal with that incident or that experience at a later time, and we push it off to the side and think that we're going to forget about it. It's like putting moving like dirt under a rug. It still piles up. It's still there. It's not until the moment that we actually lift up that carpet and we take a look at that and we deal with it. Either we vacuum it up, we clean it up, whatever it is, until we actually go through and we deal with it, it's always going to have some type of energy, some impact us in some sort of way. The very first step to creating the freedom that you want, the freedom to be in the relationships that you want, create the life that you want, whether that be traveling and working remotely, or if that's getting into a deeper relationship with somebody, or going for that job, or writing that book, or starting that business, whatever that may be for you. The freedom that you're looking for is on the other side of you owning your story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Owning your story requires you to take a look at yourself and look at how you're showing up, look at how you've responded to things in your life. And that's the part that actually makes people shut down because they're not willing to face the truth. They're not willing to face their truth of their situation, of what they did, of how they may have felt. That's when they push it off to the side and they're like, I'll deal with it later. But the truth is, until you actually go through and you face and you own the truth, you own your story, you're never going to have the impact that you want. You're never going to get into the relationship, the deeper relationships that you want. You're always going to feel somewhat trapped to the experience and what it was. So I want to give you 5 things and 5 reasons why you need to own your story. One, the truth is that you're taking ownership. You're taking the accountability. It's like a kid when you see a kid and you know that they've done something. You see a guilt all over their face. Like for example, when I was I was probably about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and we were at the supermarket with my mom, and I, if you don't know, love chocolate, and there was a chocolate bar that I guess I really really wanted, and I took the candy bar and I began to eat it, and I got caught. I got caught by the store, one of the store employees or whatever, and he went up to my mom and grabbed me, took me over to my, and was like, "Where's your mom?" Went to my mom. My mom was like, "Mio, did you take it?" The guy was like, "Hey, your kid just stole this candy bar. You need to pay for it." My mom, I was trying to lie. I was like, "Nope, didn't do it." Little did I know, I had chocolate all over my face, still had half-eaten candy bar in my pocket, and I got caught. I was trying to hide even though the evidence was all around. The same thing goes for how we are in life. There are things and ways that we show up because of whatever situations or experiences, and they impact us, whether that be that we're shy or we're reserved or some even the opposite of that, we're super loud and super in your face because of our experiences and the things that have happened to us in the past. And other people can see where we are or what we're doing, but sometimes it's very difficult for us to take a look in the mirror and say, I like that, I don't like that, and I need to change this. Or I really like that, I'm going to keep it, I'm going to make that stronger. Either or. Owning your story for you is about you taking accountability of how you're showing up, of what happened, of how you responded. It's taking the ownership and you gaining the power. Ownership is power. Somebody type that inside of the chat. Ownership is power. When you own your story, you become in control. For so many, their story is what's controlling them. Their story, they're living in their story versus being on their story. They're using their story as a way of, I can't do this because of, and they're held hostage to their past versus using their past to move them forward and to build forward. Build forward with your story. The very first reason why you want to own your story is because when you do, you take ownership. You become in power of what you're doing and what impact that you want. The second thing is that you process through the emotions, the things that you didn't want to face in the very beginning, the hurt, the frustration, the disappointment, maybe even some of the resentment. Some may have brought up feelings of being alone again, doing this by yourself again. All of those emotions and all of those things that we put in that backpack or we put under the rug and we were like, nope, I don't want to deal with it. By truly owning your story, you begin to process through those emotions to where those emotions are not controlling you. This entire process of owning it is about you stepping up and taking control of your life again, taking control of your emotions, taking control of the direction of what you want to do in your world, in this experience that you have in this very limited amount of time. You know, if we look around and where we are in the world today, we can, our time is limited. The world is just seems to be changing. I want to say crazier, but it's probably always been crazy, but now it's just really like in our face. Times are changing, things are changing. And you need to change as well. You need to not become a victim of what has happened to you and step into your power. Take the time to really take ownership, which was the first step. 2 was going through and processing through the emotions. The third thing and reason why you want to go through and own your stories, because then you begin to take a look at the learnings and the lessons. What did you learn through that situation? Things that you learned for yourself, things that you learned that you can teach others. What was the lesson? What was the gift that came wrapped in sandpaper that although the situation did not feel good, it did not look good, there were emotions that were high, there were people that may have gotten hurt, there's still a gift inside of that. There's still something that you can take away that empowers you to build forward, to build stronger. Owning your story requires you to take a look at what is the lesson, what is the learning, what is my takeaway from this moment and from this experience? The fourth thing is that you now get to create bigger wins in your life. The more that you begin to control your life, the more that you begin to take accountability and you get to take a look at the things that you're tolerating, be like, this person, not healthy in my life. I need to release them with love and let them go. You begin to build more wins for you. You begin to take a look at, what do I want to tolerate and what do I need to release? What do I need to tolerate? I want to ask you, take a look at your life right now and look at what are the things, what do you know you need to let go of? What do you need to release? And what do you need to build stronger in? One of the things that I knew as I began to build my business and I get to begin to expand my reach, I realized my finances. Man, I was horrible at money. Still learning to get stronger in how I save money and how I spend my money. Like I really got to a point where I was like, I need to have bigger wins in my finances. I'm doing more, I'm making more, and I need to do more with my money. It was a very difficult lesson to have to go through to learn, when things failed or I wasn't spending properly or I wasn't utilizing the money and the resources that I had. And then all of a sudden, come the end of the month or come time, all of a sudden I'm like, what are you tolerating? What wins do you need? What lessons and learnings are you creating in your life? What bigger wins do you need? The fifth and final thing is that you get to show up more authentically. You get to show up the real you. There's not having to worry about how am I going to show up in this group when I go to church on Sunday or when I go to Wednesday youth group or when I go to the council meetings. You don't have to worry about being somebody else when you show up to work or in your show up differently when you're with your friends. You get to show up 100% you no matter where you are. Your number one responsibility is to be the thermostat. not the thermometer that just takes the temperature. You need to be the thermostat and set the temperature for the room. How you show up in the room is going to determine the temperature. And there are going to be some people that you're going to be too hot for. They're going to be like, whoa, I need to leave. They're going to be some people that are like, listen, I can't take this. Bye. Those aren't the people that you're meant to serve, or the people that need to be around you. The truth is, when you begin to own your story and you tell your story, the right people will show up. The right people will be there. The people that are supposed to hear your message. I once had somebody on on a video that I had posted, didn't like the way, I guess, it was edited, or there was too much moving around. And she wrote this entire long message about how the video editing was done and how distracted she was, and just went off on just the look of the video. And I asked her one simple question: what did you get out of the message? And as she began to talk about all of this other stuff, I realized she's not the person that this message was designed for. And I told her, I said, thank you for your feedback. And I hope that you can go back and listen to the message. Don't even watch what's happening. Put the phone down, put the computer, walk away from the computer and listen to the message. Now, I had one of two things. One, I could have been upset that this person was giving me some negative feedback on there, or two, I could just go through and do what I did. And lovingly say, listen, you missed the message. And the truth is, if the message was for her, great. If it wasn't, it's not. It's not for me to worry about. My job is not to worry about who is going to get it. It's my job is to be responsible, to tell my truth, to tell my experience, to get it out into the world and let the universe, let God, let whoever the powers be for you, let them get your message to the right person. But your win is by first owning your story. Now, look, you may be sitting back and you're like, Matt, I hear you saying this and I just don't get it. I get it. I kind of do, but I don't know exactly what to do. I want to invite you to come and to be a part of. We've got a couple different events here. Do the damn thing. The next one is coming up in just a few weeks. It's called Night School. It's absolutely free to join. There'll be a link somewhere in this page here or somewhere inside of the chat for you to register for Night School. Night School is where we spend 7 days of learning how to tell your story, how to tell your entire life story in 3 sentences, and then use it in your marketing, your branding, and whatever, however you tell your message and get your message out into the world. The truth is, I would not be where I am today had I not owned my truth, told my story publicly. If it wasn't for me going through and moving past the fear of my family, of possibly losing my family, and there are some people that don't talk to me anymore, which is fine. If I wasn't willing to be bold enough to own my truth, I wouldn't be able to have the impact that I want to have in the world. Facts. And so if that's you, if you know that you've been called to something greater, you know that you've had this itch that's been bugging you. You're like, what do I do? Somewhere on this page is an opportunity for you to take a one step closer. Whether that be show up to Night School, whether it's show up to Do the Damn Thing live, or if it's just like, Matt, hey, let's talk. Listen, my calendar link is going to be somewhere on here. Let's talk. How can we help you? My goal for this year is all about connection, deeper connections first with myself, but then also deeper connections with the people that I'm connected with and that I serve. And so however that is, I want you to know that our DTDT family, we're here to help. We're here to help. So take that next step. Deeper connections, yes. Deeper connections. That is the goal for this year. So listen, I'm your brother in the journey. I want you to know somewhere right now, take a step. Step closer and fight for your freedom. You win your freedom with owning your story. Bottom line. So I'm your brother in this journey. I appreciate you, and I cannot wait to see you somewhere stepping closer with us here at DTDT.